He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. We have Jeff Duncan for the whole show today, but before we go to Jeff, I just want to do a quick review of the week because this has been a heck of a week. And I'm not going to do this every Friday, but today I wanted to do it because there are a couple of shows that if you didn't have the opportunity to hear them or see them on social media, I really encourage you to go to the SuperTalk Mississippi YouTube page, the SuperTalk Mississippi Facebook page, the SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast Facebook page, or your favorite podcast, and tune in. And I also want to thank you for engaging in Coast Vue. The feedback continues to be incredible. I'm a numbers guy. I come from a digital media company, so I really want to. In fact, when we come to Jeff, we'll talk to him about this a little bit as well. But he's a numbers guy, so he focuses on these kind of things. But when you look at post reach of our show, when we post something on social media, how's it doing? Well, in the period from February the 10th to March the 9th, our post reach for the Coast Vue was up 31%. When you look at post engagement is actually a really important thing because that tells you that people are not just listening or watching the show, but they're engaging with it. They're commenting, they're liking, they're sharing, etc. Post engagement for the Coast Vue for that period, but from February the 10th to March the 9th, was up 66%. So the show continues to be introduced to more and more people, and I really appreciate it. So my wish of you would be that when you're engaged in the show, if it's on social media, to share it with other people so they can also be touched by the celebrations that we do here every day. And speaking of celebrations, let me just kind of tell you a couple of interesting and important conversations we had during the week. I had the conversation with Michael Butler from Butler Homes. He's the guy who, with investors, are working to build the Sands project in Ocean Springs. That's turned into a very contentious situation, a lot of legal maneuvers and court involvement, et cetera. And it's a very unusual case. And at the end of the day, I think it's reflecting negatively on the city of Ocean Springs. It's sending the wrong message to investors and builders. And my hope, and I've talked about it several times this week, my hope is that leaders in the community who know people on both sides can step in, offer their leadership and their relationships, and help bring this thing to an end. It's not helping any of the parties involved. And it's certainly not helping the city to have this thing drawn. But we did a show with Michael Butler. Last I checked, we were approaching 2,000 views in social media without any boosting or anything. Just purely organic, local views, and a tremendous amount of engagement around. So people are interested in that story. We had James Cummins with us from Wildlife Mississippi, and we talked about the new Conservation Trust Fund that is up before the legislature at this point. The lieutenant governor let it get out of his triple referral. He referred it to 3 separate committees. Usually that's the kiss of death. It got out of that, but it was basically gutted. And so now we're going to the situation where the Senate and the House are going to be talking with one another and trying to come up with a bill that works. But James Cummins and I talked about the critical aspects of that bill that were taken out. And if you care about conservation and the opportunity for Mississippi not to lead from behind on this subject, but to lead from in front of the line, go listen to that conversation with James Cummins. I think you'll really enjoy that. We talked to Bill Lavers from the Harrison County Development Commission. Lots happening in the economic development world. Their phones continue to ring. There's been no rest for the weary during COVID. That was a terrific conversation. We talked to my friend Clay Williams from the airport, the executive director of the Biloxi Gulfport International Airport Authority, and Clay said the numbers are improving. And I shared my recent flying experience, which was very positive, I might add. And so we got a good update there as we fast approach the light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccine fully taking hold. We're hoping that the airports across America, which is really the lifeblood of the economy of America, can get back in business again and moving forward. Had a terrific conversation with Major Johnny Polis from the Highway Patrol. I knew him when I was publisher of the Sun Herald. He's had this lifelong commitment to help kids and save kids. And they have the statewide program going on now about distracted driving, people trying to text and drive at the same time. People are dying in unbelievable numbers. In fact, Mississippi is the fifth highest number of teen deaths in the United States. That's so unacceptable. And he's really determined, along with Sean Tyndall and others, to bring those numbers down. So they're going to continue to do that. And then I had a terrific visit with Fofo Gillich, my dear friend Fofo Gillich. And as Mayor of Biloxi, he's very passionate, super smart, and just loves that city. And you're always touched by that. And then, of course, Beverly Martin from the Harris County Supervisors, a longtime leader in coastal Mississippi in the tourism arena. And then Robbie D'Angelo, the human optimization coach. What a great friend he's been to Coast Vue. And go listen to that. If you really want to take steps towards self-improvement, we get to some of the basics in that conversation this week. So a lot of great conversations. We're not going to do that every Friday, but I just wanted to share this week was a standout week. Terrific guest, wonderful celebrating going on. And now let me turn to my friend Jeff Duncan. Jeff is a writer and columnist for The Athletic. He's covered the Saints more than anyone on earth. We'll talk about the latest on the Saints because this is actually, we're in maneuver city right now as it relates to Saints. They're doing a lot of tweaking, a lot of renegotiating of contracts. It's very, very dynamic as we speak. And so we're going to get into that. But we'll also get the latest on the Pelicans and whatever else might be on Jeff's mind. So, Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
Ricky, I'm doing great, man. How are you doing? It's like I'm sure you got the same weather we've had over here in New Orleans. I mean, does it get any better than this right now?
It's really awesome. It is really awesome. Hey, you know what? You know where we need to start? I posted something on my personal Facebook page on Wednesday about Les Miles and about the report about LSU. Unfortunately, this long history of not handling sexual harassment situations properly. And boy, that's the buzz in the state right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, those were two bombshell reports released back to back. It's been a tough year if you're an LSU fan. I mean, going all the way back to the Darius Geis news and then Drake Davis before that, we see a lot of indications of systematic issues in LSU's athletic department. Also, the board of directors, I think, bears some responsibility and accountability here. And, thankfully, they did it the right way here recently by commissioning this outside firm to do a report. And let's hope it leads to some changes internally because certainly they need it. It right now, I think the brand of LSU, unfortunately, of the years of neglect of trying to protect the brand, they've unwittingly tarnished the brand. And I'm not sure that they can repair that overnight. But right now, I think anybody would look at LSU, the perception is it's a football factory first and an institution of higher learning second.
It's just really unfortunate. And for people who aren't watching the news, there were allegations against Coach
Les Miles.
And there was a settlement reached actually with someone along the way, and it was essentially swept under the covers. And when he went to Kansas, they asked him, did he have anything in his past that would be embarrassing, and he said no. And of course, he's been let go there. But see, it's got a controversy there too because they paid him $2 million to walk away when some argued they didn't need to pay him anything. And it's just kind of a mess all the way around. But then the report that was done, which was about systematic not handling these kind of cases well over a long period of time, it's a sad state of affairs. Yeah, I wondered, and Louisiana is different because you have this one major university and a board of trustees around that. In Mississippi, you have a college board, 3 major universities. Of course, they both have historically black universities, and they had the smaller universities. But in Mississippi, you had the big 3. I wonder if in Louisiana, if you had, more than just one, and then you had a college board, could something like this have happened? I don't know, but I just wonder about that.
Yeah, it's a good question because certainly what we see here, and the famous saying, right, is power corrupts, right, and that could have led to this. The fact that the football program became so powerful, it was kind of left unchecked. And this is what happens when you allow something to become like this, where the tail is wagging the dog. And the bigger question I've got, Ricky, and this is a little bit more of a, I don't know, kind of a philosophical question to fans. Be interesting to get thoughts from like your listeners and viewers of like sports fans. I'm faced with this dilemma sometimes in my profession, because sports is something of entertainment in our country. And yet, how much do fans really want to know about their sports heroes? Do they really want to know that some of the athletes and the coaches that they really respect and follow, what are they really like behind closed doors? Do they want to know that? Or do they want to escape and believe something of the fantasy with some of the athletes and players? I grapple with that a lot.
It's a tough intersection, that is for sure. We're talking with Jeff Duncan from The Athletic, and when we come back after the break, we'll continue the conversation.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to SuperTalkMSGulfCoast.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever, with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Jeff Duncan from The Athletic with us now, and we're going to shift gears and talk about the latest on the Saints. Now, look, Usually in the off season, there's a little bit of a lull in the action and whatever, but this season had, if you've been a regular listener to this show and the conversations that Jeff and I are having, it had a lot of intrigue attached to it because the overall salary cap for each team has come down because of the pandemic. And then the Saints had inherent cap issues anyway before the season, before coming out of the season, going into 2021. And then, of course, Drew Brees was leaving. So there has been a lot of work going on. And one of the stories I read this morning, Jeff, was headline Saints 53-man roster projection 2021. And this is by our friend Larry Holder from The Athletic. Grab an API and brace yourself for this. There is a lot of change going to happen. And I mean, they tagged Marcus Williams. They've restructured some contracts. There's a lot going on right now, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a lot going on for the next week or so as the Saints prepare for the start of the league year. The official start of the league year is March 17th next week. And March 15th, they can really kind of start to negotiate with other free agents. There's a period where there's negotiations allowed by the league. So really, all these maneuvers, we always know deadlines spur action, and the deadline approaching for free agency has spurred the Saints to start restructuring contracts, unfortunately releasing some very popular players, among them Thomas Morstead, the longtime punter, Emmanuel Sanders, the wide receiver who they signed last offseason, Jared Cook, tight end who they signed 2 seasons ago in free agency. A lot of very popular key players for this team are not going to be a part of the 2021 Saints because of all these salary cap issues that the Saints are having to address.
Looks like Malcolm Jenkins is going to stay with the team. They restructured his contract. They restructured Andreas Pete. Give us a sense of some of those activities.
Yeah, what they're doing basically, Ricky, is just performing some accounting measures. They're basically balancing the checkbook, and they can maneuver dollars around to where the players get more money up front. By restructuring the contracts, the Saints can go to the player and say, look, if you do this, we can make the deal more palatable on the books and lower the salary cap for accounting purposes and move some of the money up front. In other words, we're going to give you cash in hand. We'll give you $3 million up front right now for making this restructure. You get the money in your pocket now, and we get the cap relief by the accounting measures, the way the league works. So it's kind of complicated. And I'm always curious to know just how much fans care about that, because I think the money is so astronomical most times they can't relate. But the point everyone needs to know is the Saints are doing all these things to address their salary cap issues so they can field a competitive team next season, because they are up against it, because for years they've been kind of kicking the can down the road with some of these salary structures the way they've had it, in an attempt to try and win a Super Bowl. And that's a noble endeavor, but eventually you get into a cap crunch, and that's exactly where the Saints are at.
NOLA.com referred to it as manufacturing cap savings. Is that the going term for what they're doing, manufacturing?
Yeah, I mean, basically they're just moving dollars around. And the way the Saints have done it, Ricky, Mickey Loomis, Kai Harley, their contract negotiator, they basically, it's like a credit card, if you will. You buy things, eventually you have to pay off your credit card. The Saints have done this with the guys that the salary cap is always going to keep growing because the league revenues have continued to climb every year. They are able to kick the can down the road because basically they're getting a higher limit on their credit card every year. And it's worked perfectly for this team, but no one anticipated the pandemic hitting and it really destroying the league's bottom line and revenues taking a decisive dip because of no attendance at the games. No one could have foreseen that. Saints didn't. And now it's all coming home to roost this year because you got Drew Brees' salary coming on the books. All these things have kind of converged on them and made it a very difficult situation.
Well, as you and I have talked about before, this is one of the things that makes the NFL so darn competitive. this whole notion around parity. So every team has their different issues related to it, but the cap hits everybody, at least the overall cap hits everybody equally. Unlike the NBA, where you can have these super teams and small towns have a really difficult time sort of making the grade. In this particular case, New Orleans, yeah, right, the chickens are coming home to roost because they had so many dynamics around their salary cap, but it still provides them an opportunity to be successful. And that's what's so cool about the NFL. That's why we have such wonderful competition in this league, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really why it's been the most successful sports league in the world, because everyone feels like they have a chance in one off season to remake their team and have a chance at a Super Bowl. And really the league's business model, we've talked about it before, it's designed to create parity. And the Saints right now are facing that. There's almost like an anchor on the teams that are at the top of the league. And the salary cap issues, the way that you have a hard salary cap, you have draft picks in the draft every year. The best teams have to draft at the bottom. The best teams are forced to play the toughest schedules. All these things are designed to create parity and to bring the top teams back to the pack and the bottom teams to lift them up into the middle of the pack. And right now, the Saints have had a run for 4 years because of this 2017 draft class, this historic class with Alvin Kamara, Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Marcus Williams. Well, they now have to all be paid if the Saints want to keep them on the roster. They're on their second contracts, and they're all stellar players that all need, representative contracts. And it's really putting the Saints in a really cap crunch because of the timeline of the roster, I guess.
So we came out of last season, and you and I sort of watched this weekly since the season came to a close. But for someone like you who sort of watches these things very closely, it has to be very interesting to you to start to now see a little bit of their roadmap start to make itself known to you, because they've been studying in great detail what players they want to keep, what players they don't want to keep, who they want to renegotiate with, who they want to sign, for example, like Dwayne Washington, for example, and Ty Montgomery, and then wanting to certainly you mentioned the 2017 class, some really key members of that class, like Marshawn Lattimore, needing to re-sign him. It's got to be interesting to someone like you to start to now see it start to all come to fruition. I mean, there's it's a big chessboard. They're moving a few players around on that chessboard. We don't have any idea yet what their ultimate strategy is going to be for how they're going to get to checkmate. But we're starting to see some evidence of what their plan is, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think it's really an unprecedented situation, Ricky, because this team has not been in the quarterback market for 15 years. They finally are going to have to deal with life after Drew Brees, and that's the most important position on the field. So for the first time since 2006, we don't know exactly what's going to happen at quarterback. We all assume, and I've been told, that Drew Brees is definitely retiring. So that would open up the door for Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill. We've talked about that before. But that's the most important position on the team, and they're finally having to address it where they haven't had to worry about it for a decade and a half. And so I think what we're going to see here, just is this my speculation, the word I keep hearing around Saints camp is we're retooling, we're not rebuilding. What does that mean, Ricky? I think we might be seeing Sean Payton saying, we're going to redo this offense. If we have a new quarterback, we've done it for years with Drew Brees one way. We tried to win a Super Bowl in his last 3 or 4 years. Now we're going to have a new quarterback who's got a different set of skills. Let's retool this offense. And what I mean by that is 2 of the key players they've released, we mentioned Jared Cook, Emmanuel Sanders, older veteran-type players. I think they might be saying, we're going to go to the kind of a speed attack, the way the Kansas City Chiefs are built, younger players. We're going to try and get more dynamic and explosive on the perimeter. We're going to retool this offense built around Jameis Winston's skill set. So this could be fun to watch for people because it hasn't happened in a decade and a half.
And as you said, of course, for people who by now, if you listen to my show, you know this, but Jeff wrote the book on the Drew Brees, Sean Payton era. And he says that in order to understand this offense, you have to have a PhD in offense. And that, what's interesting about this, so you've got I love this whole notion of retooling, because you've got people who are smart still that are involved in this. We're not saying dumb it down. We're saying you're still gonna need a PhD in offense to do this, but we may take a slightly different approach, because look, let's face it, Drew was limited. Drew was limited downfield. That had to have been somewhat frustrating to the coach. You look at some of the big plays that Kansas City was able to make. You have a sense, though, that they might want to move closer to a Kansas City scenario. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. I'm interested in knowing, is Quan Alexander coming back from his injury as they expected him to? What's the status of Alex Anzalone? There's a few things like that, and then we'll shift gears and get into a conversation about what's the latest on the Pelicans, and with specific focus on the defense, which is, I think, the frustration for everybody. We'll be back with Jeff Duncan after this break.
Coast View on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam, as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. We got to talk Jimmy Buffett.
One day at breakfast, he says, I started a new song. He says, about a night and a day in Key West, I played a bar and I got drunk, and coming home, I stepped out of my flip-flop, and I just kept going. I stepped on a beer can. And the next morning, I'm up, and I'm hungover, and I'm trying to make a margarita. I got some shrimp boiling. I can't find the salt. I said, Jimmy, I kind of like that. And he said, yeah, I think I'll call it Margaritaville.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on your local SuperTalk Mississippi station, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever, with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi, and now on Amazon Alexa devices. Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. When you listen to SuperTalk Mississippi, you become part of a statewide community, a community of knowledgeable, engaged, enlightened, well-informed, hard-working men and women just like you, all eager to see the Magnolia State grow and prosper. There may be some disagreement on how to get there, but the goal remains the same, for each Mississippian to reach their American dream. Thanks for listening and being a part of the conversation on SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Reminding you why the Mississippi Gulf Coast is such a great place to live, work, and play. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We have Jeff Duncan with us from The Athletic. And I always enjoy my visits with him. And Jeff, the conversations that you and I have had over the last many months helps me speculate more, helps me, you've taught me a lot more about the team that I would otherwise know by just reading The Athletic or NOLA.com or whatever the source might be. So let's come back to the quarterback for just a second, because you and I were talking a little bit during the break, and I think this is kind of an interesting part of the conversation. Clearly, Jameis Winston has skill sets that could make him an elite quarterback. And the big question mark still around him is the judgment he makes in the moment on the field. Can he make the right decisions? Can he read fast? Can he do the progressions properly? All that. If he can, it would be really hard for Taysom Hill to beat him out. I mean, that's just my read on it. Okay. So then let me add one more layer, and then you can bounce in. Then it comes to, do you think Taysom, if the really good competitive situation were to play out, where Taysom and Jameis are going head to head, and it becomes clear that Jameis is really stepping up to the plate in a really big way. Mobile quarterback, hell of an arm, super accurate, and his reads are improving dramatically. And that Taysom sees that and says, holy mackerel, this guy is the guy. Would Taysom want to leave, or would he want to stay in this really good contract scenario that he's got and just play a lot in the Swiss Army knife role? Man, there's some interesting things are gonna make themselves known to us, isn't there?
Yeah, and look, the Saints first and foremost have to get Jameis Winston back, right? I mean, he's an unrestricted free agent. He's going to be, I think, something of an attractive commodity on the market because, as you said, Ricky, he's got big-time talent. I mean, he was the number one pick in the entire draft. He's got an arm that is the envy of almost every quarterback in the league. He's got a great athleticism. He's actually dropped a lot of weight since he's been in New Orleans. He's gone to a vegan diet, really changed his nutrition and conditioning. So there's a lot of reasons for optimism. It gets back to exactly what you said. Decision making. Can he make the correct decisions, keep the Saints out of those really, bad plays, those negative plays, interceptions and sacks that have hounded him his whole career? And the hope is, of course, is in a different system, a more quarterback-friendly offense with the coaching of Sean Payton and the Saints' veteran offensive staff, that they can kind of reduce his negative plays, yet continue to have the high ceiling positive plays that he's shown he can produce throughout his career. And we're going to find out. I think what we're looking at, to be honest with you, is a one-year experiment. I think if the Saints do sign him back, it will be basically a one-year deal. Because of the cap situation, the Saints are tight. They may convince him and say, look, you come here, we'll give you a great opportunity, the keys to this car with this veteran roster that's playoff caliber. And if it works out, we'll sign you after this season and make you an elite quarterback and pay you a commensurate salary. And if it doesn't, we both walk away. You can move on. So can we. I think that's what we're going to see here because of the salary cap situation, because of the uncertainty with Drew Brees and his cap number that's already on the books. The Saints really can't afford to pay anybody elite quarterback money because they're going to be carrying $26 million against the cap at the quarterback position between Taysom Hill and Drew Brees.
And so then you get back to Taysom. If Taysom is really, really honest with himself, and let's say that quarterback competition that's going to play out ends up the way that I just referred to. In other words, you get a situation where Jameis emerges the clear opportunity, the clear winner of the one-year experiment. Could it be possible that Taysom says, gosh, man, that's where I need to be competitive in the NFL. And I want to be quarterback, but I've learned more about myself. I've got a great contract. I want to get this game. Might he be satisfied not to be a quarterback?
Well, he's under contract through the 2021 season, and then he's available to anybody on the open market as an unrestricted free agent after that. So really, I think it comes down to we know he wants to be a quarterback. He said that repeatedly. What kind of market would there be for Taysom Hill? If nothing materializes, and we've seen that happen in the past with Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis Winston, really, much more credentialed quarterbacks than Taysom Hill. If the market evaporates on him, he may well come back to New Orleans in that role because he knows he's valued here. They paid him well. I know he's happy here. So it could happen. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but I think his first option and priority would be to try and be a quarterback for somebody. I just don't know if anybody else values him that way.
Yeah, the Saints are in a unique position in that they've learned a lot about him. They've learned. I like what you're saying about his, dropping some pounds and being focused on his physical fitness and try to get that right. It sounds like maybe the kind of counseling or coaching or whatever it is he needed to get this really important second chance, that he's on track. He's on track to at least give it everything he's got to be successful. Let's shift gears. Is Quan Alexander's, is he going to recover from his injury?
Well, I think he definitely will recover. Now, the Saints have released him, which was expected.
Yeah.
It saved them about $13 million against the salary cap. But that doesn't mean that his tenure in New Orleans is over, but at the time being, he's not going to be a part of this roster until he can get back, recover, and then they'll see, I'm sure, what the market yields for him. But Ricky's had so many injuries the last few years, an assortment of injuries that have prevented him. He's had a lot of bad luck. And as talented as he is, I think he's had bad timing on this because now he's an unrestricted free agent with not a lot of leverage once he gets back from his injury. I know the Saints like him, so we'll see how it plays out. But I would not expect anything to happen with him for any team until closer to training camp.
Yeah, he brought such a great dynamic, a speed, a determination. You could see the way the other defensive players sort of, glommed onto him. And, Alexander's the one, let's face it, he wasn't where he needed to be in that regard, but when we fell back on him after Quan's injury, he played pretty well. But I guess the futures of both of those guys on the team, whether they release them and bring them back or whatever the situation might be, just part of one of many moves we're going to see like that on the defensive side of the ball, right?
Yeah, and I think the linebacker position in general, you just mentioned two guys, Anzalone, Alexander. Also, I think you could throw Craig Robertson in there. He's a very valued role player on this team, special teams performer. He might also not be brought back, another veteran linebacker. So what we could be seeing is a lot of young linebackers surrounding Demario Davis, including Zach Bond, who was a third-round draft pick a year ago. The Saints really are high on. but didn't get to play a lot because he was behind some veterans. He's going to be stepping into a more prominent role this year. And I think the Saints obviously have confidence in him. They wouldn't have drafted him that high, but he, along with Adam Troutman, the young tight end from last year's draft, those are the kind of guys that now have to step forward and improve because they're going to be playing a lot more prominent roles this season than they did last year's rookies.
Remember how we had to start the season with Malcolm Jenkins last year? It was really ugly. And then they made those adjustments and put him in more of a leadership role where he could sort of read the field and whatever. How much gas does he have left in his tank?
Well, I think he's got probably at least, one more good season in him, maybe two. I mean, he keeps himself in great shape. He's a smart, savvy veteran. He knows his limitations, knows what he can get away with. He's learned over time not to put himself into difficult situations, leverage-wise and pass routes. So I think the Saints highly value Malcolm Jenkins, but we'll see. Sometimes these guys drop off quickly, Ricky. It's just Father Time catches up to us all. We've seen that happen, I think, with Cam Jordan. His production dropped off dramatically last year at age 31. We'll see if he has a bounce-back year in him. The Saints did renegotiate his deal and kind of added on some years at the end, so that might actually keep him around for a year or two more. Those are the two big veterans up in their 30s on the defense, Malcolm Jenkins and Cam Jordan. They're highly valued leaders in the locker room, and I think that's important this offseason when you consider you might be moving on from Drew Brees, guys like Thomas Morstead, Greg Robertson. They're very valuable leaders in the locker room, so you can't get rid of everybody, or otherwise you'll have a huge leadership void.
So anything else on the Saints before we move to the Pelicans? Anything we're not talking about?
No, I would say this. I think the running back room is going to remain unchanged. I think they're going to bring back Latavius Murray. He's been speculated as potentially being a salary cap cut. I've heard that's probably not going to be the case. They've already signed Dwayne Washington this week and Ty Montgomery. So I think all the running backs we saw last year, that's going to be one position you're not going to see the Saints really have to address in the draft this offseason. But I do think cornerback and wide receiver now become top priorities either in the draft or free agency because the Saints' moves have addressed both those positions.
So let's get to the Pelicans. There's actually a lot to talk about as it relates to the Pelicans. Obviously, in fact, we're coming to the end of this break, so we'll pick this up on the other side. But Zion goes to the All-Star game. I'm actually curious about, I wonder what kind of things they say to him when he's at the All-Star game. When your deal runs out in New Orleans, we need you to be part of our super team and start that conversation going. It'd be interesting to see. And, will he be tested? Of course he'll be tested in that way, but I'd be interested to know what you might say about that. We'll be back and talk about the Pelicans with Jeff Duncan after this.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
When you listen to SuperTalk Mississippi, you become part of a statewide community, a community of knowledgeable, engaged, enlightened, well-informed, hard-working men and women just like you, all eager to see the Magnolia State grow and prosper. There may be some disagreement on how to get there, but the goal remains the same, for each Mississippian to reach their American dream. Thanks for listening and being a part of the conversation on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. Norbert, Elvis.
And I want to tell you about Presley. He had two different voices. He would sit and talk to me in a very calm, low voice. And we were at Stack's one night, and we were having lunch. We always had lunch at midnight because he was nocturnal. We sat there and we have our sandwiches, and at 1 o'clock, he looked up. He said, "Hey, Put, come on, it's time for me to go be Elvis." And he stood up, and a much deeper voice, he put on his macho voice. "Hey, fellas, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get cracking, okay?"
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, Amazon Alexa, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
It's a great time to be on the coast, and we love talking about it. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Jeff Duncan from The Athletic with us. He's kind of an expert on sports in general, certainly an expert on the Saints. We're going to turn to the page now and talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. You know, Zion, as you and I have talked about in the last couple of shows, is really in elite company. I mean, you think about going to the All-Star game, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Magic Johnson. I mean, he got a starting nod. That's a big deal for a kid that hadn't really played a lot of games going into that.
Well, I mean, Ricky's 20 years old. Think about that. He's going to be 21 in July. For him to already start in an all-star game, it's remarkable. And the numbers he's putting up, we've talked about it before, are really unprecedented. I mean, we're talking about some of the game's all-time greats like Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal. He's putting up numbers that rival those guys at the age of 20, and it's 6'6", basically. He's not a 7-footer. It's very promising right now, and I think if you're a Pelicans fan or even just a sports fan in this area, it's very exciting to see a kind of a prodigy like that come to town. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't alive when Pete Maravich, kind of burst on the scene at LSU and became this phenomenon, the pistol. But I got a feeling it's got to be like this when you go to the arena now, even with the reduced crowds at the Smoothie King Center. There's a buzz, and it's because of this kid, because we're seeing him kind of blossom before our eyes and live up to the great expectations that he came into the league with.
Yeah, he's credited Stan Van Gundy of letting him be himself, letting him do what he does well, and that really is a credit to the coach. And we'll come back in a second to, what is it going to take? They're not going to win. They're not going to do well in the second half. They don't get a defense going, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I was curious. When someone like Zion goes to the All-Star game, he's only 20 years old. I wonder how impressionable he is. And are people already coaching him? And had they been coaching him for the last couple of years to say, hey, listen, The NBA is not the NFL. It works different. And, small cities have a much more bigger challenge than the big cities. And it's going to be, the effort on some of these superstars to create super teams like we've seen in LA and so on. How much of that you think he's getting already?
Well, I think he's getting probably a lot of those whispers, but he's so young right now. He's still under contract with the Pelicans for 3 more years after this season. So we're talking something long term. I think David Griffin, Trajan Langdon, Swing Cash, the brain trust of the New Orleans Pelicans, everything right now is designed to build around this young, gifted superstar, along with Brandon Ingram. They're the 2 pillars, and they're going to do everything they can because they understand that it's their duty and obligation to build a championship-level roster around, someone of this caliber. It doesn't happen very often. But I will say this about Zion. He's an independent thinker. He's not the kind of guy that is going to be he's not a follower. He really
he's a leader.
All the way back to high school, Ricky, he's done his own thing. It's one of the things I'm most impressed with. If you remember his 1 year at Duke, he had that knee injury where his shoe blew out, and everybody was coming out saying, "Oh, he needs to just opt out and not play the rest of the year for Duke." That was the kind of conventional wisdom. And he said, "No, I'm coming back. I like to play basketball. I made a commitment to my teammates. I would be quitting on them if I didn't come back." That's the way he thinks. He's very much a team guy. He's very selfless. And I think he's the perfect superstar for New Orleans. I think that would be a much greater concern, some of the things you're talking about, with another player. And it certainly bore out with Chris Paul and Anthony Davis. I think this is the kind of guy that could make his home here and want to be part of a legacy for New Orleans basketball.
Wouldn't that be cool? One of the interesting, you and I talked about this before, but there were a lot of trade rumors around Lonzo Ball. You look at his numbers more recently, there is actually a lot of debate now about whether he could actually be part of that core. You mentioned Ingram and, of course, Zion. But could Lonzo Ball actually find himself in a position where he's part of the foundation?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. The way he's responded the last few weeks, I mean, he's really played the best basketball of his career. He's been very efficient. And I know players love playing with him, Ricky. A guy like Zion Williamson is really relying on guys like Lonzo Ball, getting him the ball, feeding him, finding him in defensive rotations. So I think these next 2 months will determine whether Lonzo Ball is a part of the future of the Pelicans or not. But the way he's trending right now, I think he's certainly going to be a part of the mix.
What's interesting about that is, you go back and look at his really interesting story, Lonzo Ball's story. And now he lands in New Orleans, and he lands at a time when Zion comes to this team. And what's really interesting to me is that it won't just be the stats. It's probably I bet Williamson's going to have a good voice in this to say, they're going to look at things like chemistry and way beyond the numbers. But you're right. I mean, you look at his statistics. I pulled them up this morning. I won't repeat them now. But he's really playing good basketball right now. It's pretty interesting to watch.
Well, and I think the other thing you have to consider when you talk about Lonzo Ball is Kyra Lewis, the young rookie from Alabama, who they brought in, drafted in the first round last year. What's his role going to be? What's his development going to be? He's strictly a point guard. Can you play him down the road alongside Lonzo Ball? All these things have to be determined. This is what David Griffin and the rest of the Pelicans front office has to determine as they build around it.
Yeah, we're out of time, but next week let's talk about that, because there's a lot of debate now about playing time for these first rounders and these really bright up and comers, and the message the coach is giving to them, whether that's the right message or not, etc. So a lot been written about that lately. We'll talk about that next week. But this has been Jeff Duncan from the Athletics. Has been a terrific visit. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too, buddy.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. We got to talk Jimmy Buffett.
One day at breakfast, he says, I started a new song. He says, about a night and a day in Key West, I played a bar and I got drunk, and coming home, I stepped out of my flip-flop, and I just kept going. I stepped on a beer can. And the next morning, I'm up, and I'm hungover, and I'm trying to make a margarita. I got some shrimp boiling. I can't find the salt. I said, Jimmy, I kind of like this. And he said, yeah, I think I'll call it Margaritaville.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on your local SuperTalk Mississippi station, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
When you listen to SuperTalk Mississippi, you become part of a statewide community, a community of knowledgeable, engaged, enlightened, well-informed, hard-working men and women just like you, all eager to see the Magnolia State grow and prosper. There may be some disagreement on how to get there, but the goal remains the same, for each Mississippian to reach their American dream. Thanks for listening and being a part of the conversation on SuperTalk Mississippi.